In this video, I'm going to show you how to put Educreations and Evernote together to create digital portfolios. Um, to explain this, I'm going to show you the Educreations account that we've used. I created one generic account that all of my students shared. So it'd probably be a little bit easier for older kids if they had their own account. That way they had a little more privacy. But with first graders, having just one generic account that we all shared prevented them from having to sign in every time they used an iPad and having to remember their own username and password. So just keep that in mind as I'm going through this, that I had just one account that we used for all of the iPads in my class. So you can see here I'm signed into my Educreations account on the internet. The nice thing about both of these is they both have iPad apps as well as web-based versions that you can use to manage the files, manage the pictures, manage whatever the students put together. So with this, you can see that my educations were logged in to it, so you can see the dashboard. I have a class that I created, but if I click on my name here, it'll show you all of the lessons that my students created this year. We used a format that when they made a lesson, they had to put their initials and then the date that they made it. And as you can see, some of the times the students still forgot to do this. But for the most part, they were pretty good at following that criteria of using their initials and the date for when they made the lesson. In the Evernote, again, with the Evernote account, we had one account that we used for those students. Again, that was the same Evernote account that was signed in onto all of the iPads. Let me get signed in so that you can see what I'm talking about here. So one thing I want to point out, this is the Evernote account that would be signed in, and you can see here again their initials and the date show up. You can see I have a 1F, which is my class code 12 and 13, which is the folder that I put each of them. You can see they have their names in there. And then on farther down, I went ahead and added tags. I pre-made these tags, that way it was easier for them to tag any of the stuff that they created. And how I went about doing this is I wanted a way to create artifacts throughout the school year that would highlight their understanding of skills that were assessed throughout the school year. So one example is, here's just a little snapshot of some of the descriptors on their end of year reports or their conference reports, specifying what are some of the skills that they need to know in math. So this was the math one. This will actually change once we get the Common Core incorporated as well. So my labeling system will have to adapt to that. But right now I'm going to walk you through this process using the math portion, and I've got the one highlighted in blue labeled MA7, which means models the meaning of addition and subtraction. So what this is going to do is I'm going to show you how my students would create an artifact that satisfies MA7. So this would go, this wouldn't be something that I'd create out of the blue. It would be something that would tie in directly with our current math lesson. And so let's say that the math lesson I'm talking about has a specific descriptor of them working to show their meaning of addition and subtraction. So you can see I've got MA1, MA2, MA3. So what I did is I went ahead and created those same tags in Evernote, MA1, MA2, MA3. So I already made those. That way the students could just tag any video that they created using Educreations. To demonstrate this, I'm actually going to show you on the iPad what the student would have done to satisfy that MA7 descriptor. So let me show you on the iPad what this would look like. You can see here, here's the layout of a student iPad that I have in my classroom. They would use this folder that we called Make. Using Educreations, you can see here this is already signed into that same generic account that all of my students would use. During a rotation, they would use this app. They would click New Lesson. The first thing that they would do is they would use a picture, or they could draw. What we typically did is I would put some pictures for them to use in a shared Dropbox folder that we had. So you can see here, the one that I'm going to use is the iPad U, because this is the folder that I created just to kind of demonstrate some of these techniques that we've been using. So it's just a picture of a cat. So the student could then take that picture from Dropbox, and I'll go ahead and insert a couple of these so that you can get the idea of what a student would do. So the student, after they put the pictures in, let's say that the assignment was for a student to create a story problem modeling subtraction. So they put the pictures of the cats in here. What they would then do is they would be able to hit record. You can see it's recording right now, so that student would take and represent a number story of subtraction. And what they could do is, let's say that they crossed out 2 cats, and then they wrote this number model, and then they went ahead and they talked about, I started with 3 cats, 2 cats ran away, I'm left with 1 cat. So the number model is 3 minus 2 equals 1. After they were done recording this artifact showing that they understand how to visually represent a subtraction problem, they could stop the recording. They would click done, and then they would actually save their lesson. Now remember, I said that I had a specific criteria for them saving their lesson, so what they would do is they would do their initials. So for this, I'm going to just do my initials, Mr. F, and then I'll also put the date. So they would put the date into their lesson as well. They could add a description if they wanted, but we didn't. We just left it as initials and date, then they click next. For these, I just had them always save it as private, and then they left the subject area as all and just click save. So what this actually does now is you can see that it adds that video to the rest of the videos that are on this list. From here, the students would then take and use this video and put it into their own personal notebook in Evernote. So what that would require them to do is they would click on this little arrow up here in the top that would allow them to share it. And you can see it gives you the option to share it with Facebook, Twitter, email, or the chain is just the URL. So what I would have them do is click on their URL with their video. So the first one that I just made with the cats, they would copy the lesson link, and what that lets them do now is it stores that URL for their video. Then they're able to exit out and go into Evernote, and from here what they would do is they would access our class folder, and again this is a generic Evernote account that all of the students shared, so they had access to it. They didn't have to sign in when they used the iPad. They would click on the folder, they would find their name. So for this one I actually created a generic folder for myself. So here's Mr. F. You can see I don't have any notes. So what that student would do is they'd hit the plus sign to add a new note or add a new artifact to their folder to continue to add to their digital portfolio. So from here again we would title it just the same as we did the video, Mr. F, and then we'll do 7-7-13. Again, you could really pick and choose how you want to label it. Just for first graders, it was a lot easier to keep the labeling system the exact same. Now that they've got their label or their title, they can click down in the body and click paste. That is the URL that will take them directly to the video that was just recorded about the cats being a visual representation of subtraction. The last element of this would be that they would have to click the little I at the very top right here, which allows them to tag the stuff that they need. So what they would do is they would click that I, and where it says tags, there's none represented. And remember I said that I wanted this to be a representation for MA7. So what they would do is they would scroll down and find MA7. They would click on it. It shows that there's a check mark next to it. And then from there, they would be completely done with this new note or this new artifact that they created, showing me that they know how to visually represent or just model the what it means to add or subtract using pictures. Now the nice thing again is that both of these Educreations and Evernote are both web and iPad based. So now I'm going to show you, since this all syncs in real time, if I go back to again the internet where my Evernote account is open, you can see automatically it's already added. Mr. F now has a file that he created, and right here it shows you that this file was created, and over here on the right it shows you the URL for it. If I click show details, it shows you that it is tagged as MA7. So what this really allows you to do then is as you get going, you're able to, since Evernote does a great job of allowing you to search stuff, you can see up at the very top that it gives you some criteria for what you're searching for. So if I wanted to go through and evaluate some students on certain descriptors to see if they understand it or need more support, I can easily assess that to see if they understand or not. So for example, let's say I wanted to look at Bradley's, and then I also wanted to look at any of Bradley's that he did for MA7. So right here you can see these are the descriptors over the course of the school year that he created, showcasing whether he understood MA7 or not. Just to go back to that one that I created to wrap this up, if I click on my Mr. F, it does give you this URL here. So let me make this a live URL here quick to show you. So what this does then is I'm able to click on this and it will automatically show you that lesson, and it will play. Would take and represent a. So you can see this is just one way that I've used for my students to use Educreations in Evernote to create an ongoing digital portfolio over the course of the school year. One of the nice features of this is, in addition to some of those that I've already highlighted, is that once you have this folder created for that student, I can click to share this account or share this folder, and what I can do is I can create a public link, or I could just invite individuals. So for example, if I created a public link and I used this link and I sent it to the parent of the student, that parent can then view any of those artifacts that their child has created throughout the school year. So it really creates a simple virtual portfolio that can quickly help you determine some of the skills that students need to continue to work on, which ones they have mastered, as well as it provides a good vehicle for you to share those digital artifacts with parents as well. So again, hopefully this helped and highlighted some of the ways that we've been using Evernote and Educreations.